Hey,
Hey.
I can't hear you. Oh,
Oh, can you hear
is
me
your
now?
audio on?
I think so. How do I do that? It seems like it's on. It doesn't show mute. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I don't know. Do you have me muted? Huh. I don't know. Crap.
Yeah, you have to turn maybe your audio on.
Oh, well,
I don't see your little microphone's not moving. Now it's muted. No,
now
still
what?
not on though.
I guess maybe I should get off and get back
Oh,
on.
now it's on, but I can't
Oh.
hear you. Do you have your...
I don't know. Can you hear me now?
Oh, now I can hear you.
Oh, that was weird.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Good.
How's it going?
Oh, fine. Storming here.
Well, I guess you can't see out there, but
Snow?
yeah.
How much?
Not quite a foot. A pretty good bit.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. How's your morning going?
Oh, it's been good. It's I just coffee and looking at YouTube videos.
Uh-huh.
I sent you that one, which I really liked. Did you? You probably haven't had a chance to look at it. The gardening one.
Well, I kind of did look at it, but then I had to.
Get off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
you play my music?
No.
Oh, you can't?
Uh-uh.
Okay.
I can hear it a tiny little bit now.
Oh, uh-huh.
Yeah, it's just dark as night out there.
Yeah, here too. Just snowing away.
There were 2 Canadian geese.
What?
Yes, 2 Canadian geese on the pond this morning.
That's crazy.
I know. I think it must be like, if one gets weak or something, another one always stays with it.
Uh-huh.
So maybe they were traveling in the storm or something. The weaker one decided to take a break. And another one stayed with it. I think that's pretty cool. Hey, Nita. Hey, Nita.
She can't, her audio's not on yet.
Now it is.
Hey.
Hey.
Happy Easter.
Yeah, you too. How y'all doing?
Good. How about you?
Good. Real good.
We're talking about Courtney got like a foot of snow last night and it's storming. It's like dark as night outside.
I know I've been seeing that y'all have some bad weather. We're having, it's gonna rain today. We had a little dusting of snow a couple of days ago, and I guess we will again on Wednesday. The painting's not going real well.
Oh. You mean it's staining your deck?
Yeah, it's like come to a complete standstill.
Yeah.
I did stain the porch swing yesterday.
Oh, well, you're on a roll then.
Looks good.
Hey, Linda.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you? This is so fun to see
Oh,
everybody.
look who's there. It's me.
There's B.
Oh.
Hi, Pete.
I got Zoe.
Oh, yeah.
Did it ask you for a
And
pass?
I've got Marley. I don't know if you
Oh, hey, Marley.
can you see him on the meditation cushion?
Yeah, we have
Sleeping up under there.
it's doggy yoga.
Yeah.
What'd you ask, Courtney?
Did it ask you for a password when you signed on?
No.
Oh, good, good.
This is what Zoe wants to play with.
What is
Ew.
that?
It's a stuffed mouse, but it looks very real because it's so old.
Ew. Yeah.
No.
That over my own face. I have to admit everybody now because they've changed the Zoom rules, and that's weird.
Oh.
Yeah.
That is weird.
Oh.
How did it go last night, Jackie?
Well, Linda got on very easy, so I think it's gonna work.
Okay, good, good.
Yeah,
I didn't see that till this morning, but
yeah. Well, I think it, cross my fingers. I hope it works this Wednesday.
yeah, cool. I bet it will.
Yeah. Morning, Jan.
Morning.
Morning.
Morning, Jan, the other Jan.
Hi, Linda.
Hi. Easter.
Oh,
Happy
yeah.
Easter.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. Helen,
Okay.
it's a little
So
cold.
I'm upstairs in my new house. It's only 52 up here, so ooh, I might halfway through have to go back down to my apartment. And if I do, I'll lose connection.
Oh,
So
Maybe we'll be working hard enough that you'll be warm.
Burr.
That's
it's
chilly.
cold. It's really cold here. We have like 6 inches of snow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do too.
we do
Such a
too.
drag.
All right. Let's see, where should I put you? There.
Say hi.
Hi, Bee.
Big.
What a
Bee.
good dog.
Good to see you, Katerina. Oh, I don't know if you can hear me yet.
Hi, Katerina.
Hey.
Courtney, what's your dog's name?
B. B, just like the letter. Mhm. Yeah. She doesn't like the snow too much because she doesn't have very much hair.
She's so sweet. Zoe, come look at Bee. She's a sweet puppy.
Her and Dixie, they got in a fight this week.
Oh, dear.
We've been then they were mad at each other for 2 days. And now they're getting over it. They slept by each other last night.
Oh, good.
Oh.
Zoe, come here. Come here.
It was intense.
Look at Bee. How sweet she is.
Did you have to break them up?
Oh my gosh, I couldn't break them up. They were just fighting.
Wow. That's so scary.
It is scary.
In the
didn't
house,
hurt each
right?
other, but
I don't want to play.
seemed scary to me.
I don't want to play. Oh, I don't want to. Bully says hi.
There's Fluffy. I forgot his name already.
Fluffy.
His actual name is Wooly Bully, like the old Sam the Sham and the whatever, Sparrow's song. But he just goes like,
Wooly. Hi, Mr. Wooly.
yeah.
Meow.
Look at all those dogs.
So
Oh, there's a poo.
let's I was thinking maybe you guys had something like a blanket or a towel that you could roll up like we did before. And also I wondered if you had something like a sock or a belt or something you could use for a strap, just for even a shirt or anything you could put your hands, hold on to for one of our poses. That's all I think we need today. Helen, you might could use your jacket or your. Or
I am not taking off my socks.
Oh man. And then we're gonna start. All across the floor. We're gonna start by making that same kind of roll that we did a couple classes ago, where we just, roll. You don't want it to be too big, but like you're kind of making something like this sized. With a towel, bath towel works good, or a yoga blanket, or anything. I don't know what happened to my mom. She disappeared, huh?
Your mom's there. That's cool.
I'll try to watch if new people come on. We'll see. And we're going to start on our backs today, but don't you worry, Helen, we're going to get moving pretty quickly.
It's okay, I have lots of layers on.
And we're going to start with this roll right underneath our shoulder blades. So you can see it's like a little bit below my arms. My arms are here. And the roll is below my, right under my shoulder blades, bottom line of the shoulder blades. And then I can rest head back, and I've just got this like mini arch in the back. Maybe you have your knees bent so that your lower back can be long. You don't feel too much compression. You can even take the feet a little wide, let the knees knock together if you are feeling any compression in your lower back. And then we'll just start here with a little stillness draped over your blanket roll. You can, once you've settled in, just notice your body. Notice how your body is feeling, what it feels like to be laying over the roll. Notice any places where you feel a little tension or tightness in your body. Just kind of noticing how you're doing today, paying attention to yourself. That's a good idea, Jackie.
Yeah. Might as well use it.
I didn't know if everybody had one of those.
So right underneath the shoulder blades?
Yeah, right under your shoulder blades, kind of finding that comfortable spot. Maybe right along the bottom of the shoulder blades. So just underneath your armpits.
And then once you've kind of given your body some attention, turn your attention to your breath. You don't have to change your breath right away. Just notice the quality of your breath. Notice are both nostrils open, and notice how full your lungs feel or tight they may feel. Just kind of noticing how your breath is today. And then starting to deepen your breath, letting the breath get bigger, fuller, feeling the diaphragm expanding. Feeling your belly grow as you breathe, even the back of the body pressing into the floor as you breathe. Starting to see where you can let breath and body melt together and soften. So the skin of the face, releasing the jaw, where your neck and skull meet, softening, tops of the shoulders, the palms of your hands. Just letting tension go, letting the breath kind of unravel any gripping in your body. So your skin starts to feel really thin, like the breath can move right through your skin, right through your muscles, right through your bones. And then remembering this sensation of being really, really pliable, really soft and relaxed. And see, as we're going along today and we get into some tougher places, if we can kind of bring that ease back in through our skin. Start to prepare that we're going to move, and as you feel ready, wiggle the fingertips, eventually letting the hands come right behind your head, so your hands are holding on to your head.
And then I have my knees bent. Knees bent and my hands underneath my head. I'm going to take my elbows to point up towards the sky. And then we're going to start to roll up. So we're just going to inhale, letting the rolling start from right where you're touching the blanket roll. Rolling up vertebrae by vertebrae, letting the chin come towards the chest. And then exhaling to roll vertebrae by vertebrae back down. You're moving really gently. You're holding the head heavy. Your head is like heavy in your own hands, as if someone were holding it for you. And then rolling up vertebrae by vertebrae, letting the abdominals hug down tightly to the spine as you make these movements, rolling back down on the exhale. Inhaling up, exhaling down. Moving with your own breath. Keeping the belly, hugging the spine. You can kind of explore moving your elbows wider or closer together. Explore keeping the head, the chin tucked in or letting the chin go. Just kind of noticing how they feel different if you adjust your hands. Let's do 3 more like this. Okay. Gotta go. And then let the head come back onto the floor. Take the arms up towards the sky. So the head is reaching, is grounded on the floor and the fingertips are reaching up towards the sky. And then we're going to take the thumb tips and work them towards the floor over the head. So it may be hard and they may not go all the way down, and that's okay. Palms are facing one another. Take an inhale, hands to the sky, reaching all the way up and over the head, and then bringing the fingertips back to the sky. Working with your own breath, inhaling, hands overhead, exhaling back. If you feel a pinching in the shoulders, maybe try it with the hands a little further apart, moving the hands overhead and then back. Letting the back of your neck be long, so your chin is kind of tucked, not touching your chest, but just tucked a little bit. We're going to do 3 more. This time letting the hands just relax overhead. So you just let your arms get floppy and come to the floor over your head. And then we're going to roll to the right side, coming onto our side. So it's kind of like have my head resting in between my arms, and this blanket roll is right underneath below my armpit, on my ribs, right under my ribs. And then I'm going to keep my head relaxed on the arm, and I'm going to take the left arm, or whichever the top arm for you is. Maybe you rolled on a different side. So your top arm, and we're going to reach it up towards the sky. My head comes off the floor, off my bottom arm, and then I'm going to bring the hands back down. So we're just doing a little side crunch. Reach top arm up and then coming back down. Moving with your breath, inhaling up, exhaling down. Keep going. Two more. And then releasing and rolling back onto the back. Taking your head in your hands, making sure your blanket roll is still underneath your shoulders, right underneath your armpits. Taking your head in your hands, lifting the head, letting it hang heavy, and maybe even giving your head like a little wiggle, right? Moving it from side to side. I'm kind of tractioning my own head and then giving it a little wiggle. And then releasing it back down onto the mat. And we're going to take the arms overhead, soft arms overhead, rolling now onto the other side. So you've got your head resting between the hands. And then we'll do the same thing on this side, taking the top arm up, lifting and releasing. Letting the inhale lift you. And the exhale lower. A little side crunch. We're gonna do 4 more. Letting the head move with your body, keeping your neck soft, not too much tension. Last one for me. And then I'm gonna come back down. And this time I'm gonna roll towards my belly, rolling to the hands and the knees. You can set this blanket roll aside. We don't need it anymore. And then kind of just wiggle yourself back to normal after all that. Maybe some cat-cows, maybe wiggling your tail, finding the hands underneath the shoulders and the knees underneath the hips. We're going to take the fingertips and we're going fingertips out to the sides. I think we all know this one, and then just a little left to right. Letting the palms be heavy on the floor, but your arms are buoyant, right? Your abdominals are engaged. I don't know if that came out right or not. As I was hearing myself, I sounded weird. And then let's turn the hands the other way. Palms facing up, fingertips pointing towards one another. The backs of the hands are on the floor. Right, that buoyancy, so your abdominals are keeping you lifted. So you have a little buoyancy, and then you're moving from side to side. Coming back to centers, turning the fingertips to point forward. So now they're normal. All 4 fingers staying glued to the floor, lifting the palms of the hands. Little tiny push-ups here. Just kind of separating fingers from palm. Keeping the belly engaged, so not too much weight on your hands. You can walk your hands back to your knees to take even more pressure off. And then we'll bring the palms down, flip the fingers backwards. So my fingers are pointing towards my knees. And I'm gonna just let the hips shift back towards my heels for a little stretch. Doesn't matter how far you go, just till you feel a little something in the wrist, and then we'll pause. And then let's release the hands and we'll sit all the way back on pointed toes, and you could tuck that blanket in right here if you've got it, and that would feel super nice. And then let's release the hands, shaking them out. Take each finger, pull each finger really long. Even your thumb, all of mine are popping. And then we'll shift forward one more time onto the hands and the knees. This time normal, right? Knees under the hips, hands under the shoulders. We're going to do something a little strange. We're going to take our shoulder blades and we're going to squeeze them together behind our back. So like they're pinching a pencil behind your back between your shoulder blades. And then we'll pull our shoulder blades down towards our behind. So you're going to pull the shoulders down your back so your neck gets long. And then push down into the floor and spread the shoulders apart. And then take the shoulders up towards the ears, making your neck really short. So we'll do it again. We'll squeeze them together behind our back. We'll tug them down towards our hips. And then we'll push them apart, make a lot of space between the shoulder blades. And then we'll pull them up to our ears, making our neck really short. And then let's smooth it out and see if we can make a circle. And squeeze, bring them down, push them apart, up to the ears. Together, down, apart to the ears. Experimenting now if you can take them in that smooth circle. Or maybe it's not smooth and you just notice where the sliding surfaces are a little sticky. Maybe you try to go the other direction. Just playing. And then we'll pause, coming back to neutral spine, and let the hips sink back to the heels. Take the knees wide and bring the belly down for a child's pose. Just resting in child's pose. Could use your blanket here underneath the belly if the knees wide is not comfortable for you. Couple of big breaths into the space where we were just moving. So in between the ribs, underneath the shoulder blades, where the shoulder blades slide on the ribs. Now keeping the knees wide, let's walk ourselves forward. Kind of like you're going back on the hands and the knees. I'm going to curl my toes under and sit my hips back onto my toes curled under. So this is kind of weird. My knees are wide, my toes are curled under, my feet are together, and I'm sitting hips on the heels. And then let's take the hands up. We're going to take a big breath in through the nose and then out through the mouth. And then a big breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And then let's take a little half inhale, just a half inhale. And then we're going to start the breath of fire. Do you know it? Where you just pull your belly in on the exhales and you forget about inhaling. You just let the body do it normal. So it goes. So let's maybe try it together. It'll make you forget about your feet, don't worry. Take a half inhale and then just little pulses with the exhale. When it gets hard and there's tension, release the arms and let's come back down to the child's pose. Some big normal breaths.
Filling up back body. We're going to do it a couple of times so you can get familiar with it.
So again, moving forward, coming up to that weird toe squat, right, with the knees wide, toes curled under, hands to the sky. Doesn't matter, they could be this wide, right? Whatever works for your shoulders and your neck. And then we'll take a big breath, a cleansing breath, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Half inhale, little pulses with the exhale. When it's tense, you release, child's pose. And then the last one, coming back up, we're really opening the soles of our feet and our diaphragm with this. Hands to the sky, a cleansing breath to start. And then a half inhale to the breath of fire. Little pulses with the exhale until you feel like you're losing your breath, and then you'll release. And then we're going to bring the knees together this time and press back to child's pose. This child's pose is going to be really active, so I'm going to start walking my fingertips away from my shoulders, letting the back of my neck get really long so the chin tucks in just a little. And then let's walk the fingertips over to the left, and I'm going to let the left hand bend, the left arm bends, but my right arm is straight and long. And I'm going to kind of tuck my armpit down towards the floor as I walk the right fingertips away from me. Maybe you move your head a little bit. You shake it, no, and you just wiggle the head as you try to walk the right side body longer. And when you get there and you feel a nice lengthening between the ribs, just pause, breathing into that space where you're feeling this the most. And then we'll walk it back out, back to center, and right on over to the other side. I'm walking my arms over, this time to the right. I'm letting the right arm bend and it kind of comes in, but the left arm walks out, tucking the armpit down towards the floor, wiggling my head, letting tension go from the back of the neck, base of the skull, space of the shoulder blades. Breathing where I feel the most sensation. And then unraveling back to center. Shifting back onto the hands and the knees and pressing your way into a down dog, just a lazy one. So I've got a little looseness in my arms and my legs. I'm letting the hips shift from side to side, walking out your down dog. Eventually walking the feet forward, all the way up to a easy forward fold. Maybe moving around in your forward fold. You could have your hands on the floor and your knees bent, belly and thighs coming close together. Wiggling a little, letting the weight shift from side to side. Maybe even noticing what it feels like to rock the weight forward into the balls of the feet and then back into the heels. Eventually let your head hang, almost like your head is heavy like a bowling ball and it's just dragging your torso down towards the floor. Maybe you nod your head yes, shake it no, releasing tension down the sides of your neck, out the crown of your head. And taking the hands and letting the hands walk their way up the legs, all the way up to standing. Take your feet a little bit wide, a little extra wide. Knees and toes pointing straight ahead. Softness in the knees, letting that weight of the back body descend, letting the front of the body lengthen it upward towards the sky. A little bounce here, and maybe even a little brushing, right? Getting rid of any tension, any gripping in the skin, in your face, wherever you might feel it. Just preparing to start linking our breath and our movement, and we want a clean start. When you feel good, we'll bring our feet into Tadasana. So big toes touching or hips distance, your choice. Finding mountain pose. Front of the body getting long as it rises, the back of the body descending. Finding your Ujjayi breath in through the nose, out through the nose. Constriction in the throat that gives your breath that smooth, long quality. Next, inhale, hands to the sky. Exhale, hands wide, half forward fold. Take an inhale, let's pause and lengthen. And then exhale, forward fold. Heavy tailbone, inhale to chair pose, hands to the sky. And then exhale to Tadasana. We'll do it again. Inhale to reach up. Exhale halfway. Inhale, get long. Exhale, soften. Inhale, chair. Exhale, mountain pose, standing. Inhale to reach. Exhale, halfway. Inhale, get long. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Feet flat back. Exhale, plank. Top of a push-up. Pausing. Let's lower the knees. Then we'll lower chest and chin. So you've got like a little down dog, your booty in the air. Slithering forward like a snake, cobra pose, elbows tucked in. And then exhaling back, downward facing dog. Just taking a breath here, squeezing the upper arm bones together, rooting the fingertips and the joints of the fingers down into the floor, lengthening the backs of the legs and behind the knees. Take an inhale, bend the knees, look forward, walk the feet forward, letting yourself fold. Tailbone gets heavy. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, standing. Tadasana, mountain pose. We're gonna do that one more time. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, halfway. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, plank, pause. Lower the knees. And then chest and chin, so your behind still sticking up. Slithering through cobra pose. Your heart lifts. And then pressing back, downward facing dog. Finding your down dog and your feet are really big. The soles of the feet are open and receptive. Palms of the hands open and receptive. Upper arm bones squeezing together as you lift the pit of the abdomen. This time, let's step the right foot forward to a lunge. And move your right foot all the way up so that it makes it all the way up between your hands. And then bring the back knee down. And if you can, unfurl the toes so your toes are pointing. Now, let your foot, the front foot, wiggle out just a little, and the toes could point out even. And then bring both hands on the inside. And if you have blocks, you could have blocks under your hands. You could have your hands on fist if your wrists are hurting. You could come onto your elbows, right? Just doing whatever feels good to you. Hug the thigh bones in towards the midline. Lift the pit of the abdomen and get long across the front body. Breathing all the way down into the hips. Broad from shoulder to shoulder. Soft where the skull and the neck meet. Three more breaths. Then we take the front foot, and we're going to wiggle it in so that the hands are framing your foot. Curl the toes under. lifting the back knee, and step forward, forward fold. And then just a little bounce, right? I'm going to take my hands here to where my hip was stretching, and I'm going to brush it off. And I'm going to bounce a little, and I'm going to let any tension go using my breath. And then when you're finished, bringing the hands back down, tailbone gets heavy. Inhale, chair. Exhale, mountain. Let's do the other side. Inhale to reach up. Exhale, halfway. Inhale, long. And then exhale, you soften. Inhale to a flat back. And then exhale, plank. Pausing. Top of a push-up, I'm long. You can always bring the knees down. And then we'll lower. Chest and chin, elbows tucked in. Slither forward to cobra pose. And then press back, down dog. Let the breath be big in down dog. Big feet, big hands, big breath. The left foot steps forward, and if it doesn't make it all the way forward, I'm going to move it forward into a big lunge. And I'm bringing the back foot down, the back knee down, and I'm going to even unfurl the back foot. Wiggling your front foot out so that you can bring both hands in. And then sinking in, right? Squeeze the thigh bones together. And let the hips sink. Lift the pit of the abdomen and then lengthen all the way up the front side of the torso. Just pausing, breathing, your breath gets big. Buoyancy in the arms. Let's take 3 more breaths. See what happens if you really mash the front foot down into the floor, like you want to straighten your leg, but it won't. Keep squeezing thighs together. 1 more breath. And then we'll unravel, framing the front leg with the hands. Lifting the back knee, step forward, forward fold. And then again, I'm going to brush off this hip that's tired, and I'm going to do a little letting tension go with my breath. Tailbone gets heavy. Inhale, chair. Exhale, mountain. Look down, check out your feet. Move your feet if you need to so that they're hips distance. You can see my feet hips distance. And then let the right heel lift. Right toes are on the floor. I'm going to slide my right foot straight back into a big lunge so my feet stay hips distance. And I'm in a big giant lunge. I'm going to pull the left knee forward, front knee forward, so it stacks right over the ankle. And then bend the back knee and let that leg get, the right leg and the right thigh get really heavy. I'm lifting the pit of the abdomen while gravity is pulling my right thigh down. Shoulders stacked over hips. Bring your left hand to your hip and take your right hand to your sky, right hand to the sky. So you've still got your knee bent. Big inhale, lengthen the right side body. And then exhale, just tilt over to the left. Keep lifting the pit of the abdomen so that the front of the right hip is open. Squeezing the thighs together. And then let's come back up to center, both hands to the sky, inhale, and then both hands to the mat. Walk the fingertips forward so that you're standing on your left foot and you can lift the right one. And then let's take the right knee and bring it right behind the left and do a little squat. And we're gonna go back and forth, right? We're gonna straighten the right leg out, and then we're gonna bring the right knee behind the left and do a little squat. A couple of these. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, squat. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, squat. One more, lengthen and pause. Really firm up both legs, muscles to the bone. And then step forward, forward fold. Maybe brushing off any tension, shaking it out. Big breath if you need it. Tailbone gets heavy. Inhale, chair. Exhale, mountain. Last one of these. Inhale to reach. Oh, exhale to fold. Inhale halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise, hands to the sky. And exhale, prayer. Let's take the left heel. Lift the left heel off the floor. Your feet are hips distance. Toes and knees pointing straight ahead. Left heel lifts. Slide the left heel back into a big lunge. So your feet are still hips distance. You've got a good sturdy balance. Pull the front knee over the front ankle, 90 degrees. Bend the back knee so that that thigh gets really heavy and long. And you use the counter between gravity and your abdominal strength to help open the left hip. Right hand to your right hip, left hand to the sky. Take an inhale. And then exhale over to the right, side bending. Still heavy, right? You have to be loose and heavy in the left leg. Let's inhale, unravel, both hands to the sky, and then exhale, hands to the mat. I walk my fingertips forward so I can stand on the right leg and lift the left. An inhale here, and then an exhale, tucking the left knee behind the right for a little squat. Inhale, lengthen. And then exhale, squat. Inhale, keep going. Exhale. Let's do two more. And then the leg is out straight and long, squeezing muscle to bone. Stepping the left foot forward to meet the right, forward fold. Tailbone gets heavy. Inhale, chair. Exhale, mountain. Now let's step the feet wide. So there's a big space between the feet.
And actually, before we get any further, find whatever you want to use for your strap and have it handy. Let's just go ahead and use it. So go on and grab your strap. And then come back to wide feet. Let your toes point out. Take the strap between your hands and your strap is overhead, and it doesn't even matter like the width right now, just something between your hands are overhead. And then we're gonna bend the knees, coming into our goddess squat, and we're gonna bend the elbows. And you kind of wanna line up your hands right over your elbows, and you're pulling with your hands like you could break whatever you're using as your strap. So knees bent, elbows bent. This is like a fierce pose, lifting the pit of the abdomen, building fire. Sticking with it. Now let's straighten the legs, and we're going to straighten the arms. And then with your legs straight, bring the arms just backwards just a little bit. Doesn't matter how far, maybe 1 inch. Pulling on the strap or whatever you're using, lifting the pit of the abdomen. And then release the effort of the arms, release the strap, but keep it in one hand and bring the hands down. Just let the arms hang for a moment. Finding your breath, letting the breath get long and smooth. And then taking the strap, one more time, we're going to take it behind the back. Give yourself a lot of room between your hands. You don't have to try to get your hands really close together. Feet are wide. And listen, this is the deal with the feet. If you're blessed with stiffness, you get to take your feet really wide. If you're really flexible, you bring your feet a little closer together. Hands pretty wide on your strap. Let's turn the toes in. So the toes turn in. I feel my inner thighs rolling in, and I'm gonna go forward, hinging from the hips, just like 3/4 of the way, so not very far. Notice your thigh bones internally rotating and exaggerate it a little bit. So like roll them in and feel how your sits bones move apart. Your behind gets a little wider. And then counter all that action by really lifting the bottom of your belly. Your arms are getting straight behind you. You're lifting them off of your back, pulling the strap apart between the hands. You can have a bend in the knees, no problem. And then let's fold forward, letting the hands, maybe they go up to the sky, maybe they drop back over the head. Well, everybody's gonna be different. Trying to let tension go. So softness in the knees is okay. Softness in the elbows is okay. Release the head, shaking your head, yes and no. Neck getting longer. I want to look at y'all. Y'all are looking good. Big breaths into the space behind your heart, between your shoulders, between your ribs.
Let's take 3 more breaths. And then we'll unravel the hands, bring them back to the hips, and then releasing, letting them come all the way down to the floor. I want to parallel my feet, so I'm going to turn my toes to point straight ahead now. And I'm going to bring my hands right under my shoulders. So it's kind of like I'm making myself into a little table. You see, I have my knees bent so that my back is straight. My hands under my shoulders. And then let's keep the left hand on the floor, right underneath our nose. Take the right hand and reach it out in front. So it's reaching out, and we're getting long from our tailbone to our right fingertips. Big inhale, and then exhale, and let's take the right hand and reach it up to the sky. You may feel your left hip crease, it kind of wants to sink down. Pull the left hip crease up. Right? So then you feel yourself working, and that twist happens more in your thoracic spine and your upper back. Big breaths. Every inhale you get longer. Every exhale you just think about twisting. Stomping left foot into the floor. And then let's unravel. Releasing everything, just let it go, maybe wiggle. And then coming back onto the hands to do the other side. Right hand underneath your nose. Left hand going forward. I get my knees bent so I can lengthen from fingertip to tailbone. And then twisting, mashing right foot into the floor so I keep my right hip just as high as the left. Not sinking down. And then let yourself stretch out from your right hip crease to your left armpit. Get longer, twisting. Every inhale, lengthen. Every exhale, just think about twisting. Belly stays lifted. More breaths. And then we'll unravel, letting it all go. Even letting the feet heel toe their way back together. Maybe you shake a little bit and you let tension go. Using your hands, walk yourself all the way up to standing. Last standing pose. We're going to start, and we're just going to do some balancing. So we'll start by bringing the feet together, big toes touching, knees and toes pointing in the same direction. And then let's cross the right knee over the left, and my right toes are on the floor. And that gives me the chance to adjust so my hips aren't crooked like this, right? I can find that balance so that my hips are level. When you found the balance, you could choose to like rearrange and pick up the foot if you want, but I like to keep my toe down. And then let's do the arms. Right arm underneath, left arm on top, hooking at the elbows, bringing the hands together. Maybe they touch, maybe they don't, just bringing them towards one another. Then take the elbows, move your elbows away from your heart, push them out. You get broad between the shoulders. And then up to the sky. Shoulders drop down the back. Soften at the base of the skull. Lift the pit of the abdomen. Breathing. Letting the breath get smooth and long. Let's take 3 more breaths. Maybe you sink your hips a little lower. If you're wiggling, just give yourself a little chuckle because it doesn't matter. And then let's unravel. Everybody coming out, shaking off any tension as we switch to the other side. Maybe a cleansing breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. And then shifting over, letting the left knee come on top of the right. I've got my toes touching the floor, and this is where I have the opportunity to kind of level the hips. I level them, I squeeze them together, then left hand, left arm underneath, bringing the hands towards one another. Doesn't matter if they come together or not. You take the elbows out, you reach them away from your heart, and then up to the sky. Just finding the breath, heavy in the tail, light in the heart. Sticking with the breath. Maybe you sink the hips a little lower for the last few breaths. And then we'll unravel, shaking it out, maybe brushing it off. Bringing the feet to mountain pose. Inhale, hands to the sky. Exhale, halfway, drawing the belly in tightly, pulling the torso out from the hip crease. Firm leg muscles to the bone. And then soften, folding over the legs. Take an inhale, lift halfway to a long back. And then plant the hands and step back to a modified plank on the knees. So this may be something that you haven't done before and you might want to watch me. So you can see I've got my hands, they're a little forward of my shoulders, and I've got my toes curled under. I'm going to shift my weight forward, so now I'm kind of in this modified plank, and I'm going to let my hips drop, my arms, elbows tucked in tight to the side, broad across the chest, toes tucked, belly lifted like a little modified up dog. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. You can bend the elbows, you can keep them really straight. Couple of big breaths. If it's not feeling good, lower and maybe just a cobra pose. Now let's press the hips back towards the heels just a little bit to get out of that position. And then all the way back so that we're standing on the knees. From here, let's go hands to the back pockets. And I'm going to take the elbows behind my back and I'm going to squeeze them together and really puff up my chest. Now this is a little weird, but we did it already once. I'm going to take my booty back a little bit so I can let my thigh bones roll in and my butt gets broader and my sits bones move apart. And then I'm going to counter all that by lifting the pit of the abdomen and pulling my hips forward again. So I've got those two actions happening, right? Thigh bones rolling in, pit of the abdomen lifting to open across the hip crease. And if it doesn't feel good right here on your knees, you could put your blanket underneath your knees. So let's just do this for a moment. Getting long from the knees all the way up the front line of the body, squeezing the elbows together tucking the chin into the chest. And then release all of it, let it go, and just sit down. Move your head a little bit, soften, maybe even a little massage, like these muscles along your neck that you may have developed some tension. We're gonna do another camel pose. I wanna even relax my jaw. And did you know, like all these muscles in your throat and your jaw are so related to your pelvic floor muscles? So we'll get these guys really relaxed. And then we're gonna come back onto the knees and we're gonna do it again. This time, maybe we get a little bit bigger, but you could always just do what we did before. So finding hands in the pockets, and you could even, if you're really flexible in the wrist, you could take the fingers up. You'll just explore what's right for your body. Nothing's right or wrong. And then I'm gonna go thigh bones in so I make my sits bones more space, and then lift the pit of the abdomen to counter that and balance this out. Then I get long from knees to heart, get long, and then maybe start to go back. Maybe even a little tuck in the chin so I lengthen the neck as I lengthen back. And if it's in your practice to move your hands to your heels, you could do that. Big breaths, soft neck, relaxed jaw. Breathing through the skin. If tension starts to become overwhelming, just come out of the posture. Don't do it. Don't make more tension. We're going to slowly coming up, bringing our chin up last, head up last. So starting from the pelvis, working the way up, eventually sitting back onto the heels. Just pausing, or you could sit on your blanket if the heels, we've done a lot of this hero's pose today, so maybe that doesn't feel good. Now, let's firm everything up since we've done all that back bending, and we're gonna come onto the elbows for a forearm plank. Nothing fancy, just squeezing tightly abdominals and hips so that we make sure we leave our back and our pelvis in a good position when we leave class today. Squeezing tightly, long legs, heart forward, holding as much as you can. Breathing, breathing. And then let's release, bringing the knees down. Just coming to sit on our behind. Feet in tightly, so the feet come into the hips really close, arms wrap around. Give myself that tight squeeze, and you could use your strap here, right, if you wanted, and then use the squeeze to sit up tall. Big breath here. I'm meshing my feet into the floor. I'm reaching through the crown of my head, pushing my legs into my arms and my arms into my legs. And then releasing, letting that go. We'll take left leg out long, just the left one. Gotta see which way. Right leg stays bent. Big inhale, sitting up tall. And then a big exhale, tipping forward. And maybe you let the bent knee go out to the side and you wiggle, wiggle, wiggle yourself forward, and then you squeeze it back in. You squeeze the thigh back in against your ribs. And then you see my arms, I'm just gonna kind of hook my arm around that knee, and I'm gonna hug it into me while I reach my heart towards my toes and pull my toes towards my heart. It's a lot going on.
Big breaths here. Lifting the pit of the abdomen, brightening across the heart. Anita, you could surely bind with your strap if you wanted, or anybody could take the hands behind if you practice the bind. Mashing right foot into the floor, heart reaching to the toes, toes reaching to your heart. Couple of more breaths. Softening behind the neck, the base of the skull, behind the heart. And then we'll unravel, letting the legs go out long, maybe rolling femur bones in their sockets. You could even bend the knees and shake the legs out a little bit, a little bouncing. And we'll switch to the other side. So the legs are out long. I've got the flesh of my behind out of the way so I can really feel my sits bones meeting the floor. Left knee is bent. And then I can let the left leg be a little wobbly as I tip myself forward, right? And bring myself through. And then I squeeze it back in, right? I'm pulling it back into my body, maybe even using my arm to kind of hug it in. So squeezing everything to the midline and then reaching heart to toes, toes to heart, getting long in the back of the neck, spacious and soft in the back of the neck. And let the breath follow that. It's long, it's spacious and soft. Mashing the left foot down into the floor, hugging in as you breathe. And then unraveling, coming up, letting the legs stretch out, letting the legs move, maybe rocking, bouncing side to side. And then let's, one more time, bend the knees. We'll catch the knees behind, catch the legs behind the knees. Maybe letting the feet come off the floor long and tall. Wiggle your spine longer. And then shoulders relax down. Maybe you lengthen the legs. You can hold on to your legs if you want. You can explore what that feels like. Holding on to your legs, heart shining up, toes shining up, breathing. Two more breaths. And then let's release, feet back to the floor, knees bent, arms alongside, and we're gonna go so slow. So maybe you adjust if you don't like where you are on your mat. And then we're gonna go so slow, one vertebrae at a time, all the way down, kind of hanging out, taking your time to get there. Once you are on the floor, just relax. Let your whole back body relax. Let your breath be full again.
Now, let's hook the right ankle on top of your left thigh. I got a little catch in my throat.
I'm gonna do a figure 4.
So let your right ankle catch on top of your left thigh. And then we'll just kind of like a chicken wing, move it a little bit from front to back. And then let the right knee open, sliding the right hand between the thighs. Catch the hands together behind the left. Let both feet be active, so you're like action-packed in the ankles, protecting the knees. Thank you, babe. Maybe even rocking a little bit here, keeping the action in the feet, but letting the hips kind of rock from side to side. If you want to deepen your stretch, you can draw the knee in closer. Like I like to hook my elbow on the right knee, push that knee away as I draw the left thigh in. And then let's bring the left foot back to the floor. The right knee is going to slide on top. So the right knee just stacks right on top. The legs are soft. And then we're going to take the arms out to a T. I like to do it this way, and it may be weird, but I like to pick up my hips, move them over just like 2 inches to the right, and then let the knees fall to the left. If it feels okay, you can look to the right. If that's too much, maybe you just look straight up to the sky. Big, soft breaths here. Now let's unravel. We're coming back to center, unraveling the legs, bringing both feet to the floor, letting them move gently from left to right, kind of like windshield wipers, just kind of letting the pelvis neutralize. And then we'll switch to the other side. So the feet are hips distance, stacking left ankle on top of the right thigh, flexing both feet, maybe doing a little chicken wing, articulating the left hip joint. And then finding your way into the figure 4, left hand between the legs, catching your right thigh. If it feels good to move, you can move. If it feels good to bring it in tighter, you can bring it in tighter, just listening to your body. Soft shoulders, long neck, easy jaw. Couple more breaths. And then we'll bring the right foot to the floor, letting the left knee slide on top of the right, arms opening up to a T. Maybe you lift the hips, you scooch them over to the left 2 inches, and you let the knees fall to the right. Adjusting your head so you could look left or you could look up, letting your breath be big and soft. Again, let's unravel, coming back to center. This time, draw the knees in tightly, maybe rocking here from left to right. And you could stay right here with the knees in tight, or you could take the knees out wide, stacking the feet over the knees, catching a hold of your feet for a happy baby pose. So it's like the knees are driving down towards the floor, the feet are stacked right over the knees, and then you're inching your tailbone towards the floor, lengthening the back. Soft head and shoulders. You could rock here if that feels good. You could straighten one leg and then the other. Just doing what feels good. Let's bring the feet down, bring the knees together. Soles of the feet down, feet underneath the knees. And then we're going to bring the arms alongside and we're going to just lift the hips a couple inches off the floor and squeeze. Squeeze thighs together, squeeze hips together. You're making a long line, not a back bend, just one straight line. Holding, squeezing tightly, firming up your glutes, your thighs, your belly, firming everything as much as you can. Releasing the hips back onto the floor. Taking the feet, walking the feet out wide past the edges of your mat, letting the knees knock in towards one another. Just a few breaths here. Feels maybe weird. Big inner rotation in the thigh bones. And then we'll walk the feet back into neutral. Feet underneath the knees. Last time, lifting up into a long line. So not a bridge pose, just one long line. Squeezing thighs, squeezing glutes, squeezing belly, squeezing, squeezing, squeezing. And then releasing onto the floor.
Let's find our way into Shavasana, your final relaxation. And you could stay on the floor where you are. You could take legs up the wall. You could lay on your belly. You could do a yin kind of style pose, big feet together. Feet together, knees open. So anything that you think is relaxing, though, you don't want any gripping in your body. And as you make your way to the floor, let's do a series of squeezes and releases to really let go of any tension that's lingering. So as you find your position, squeeze your legs, both legs really firmly, maybe so much that they lift off the floor, like tighten up all the muscles in your legs and let them go. And then do it again. Tighten and squeeze, 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 and then let it go. And then we'll do it with the arms, squeezing the arms and the shoulders and the chest and squeezing, and then squeeze the arms and the shoulders and the chest and release. And then everything, squeeze your legs and your arms and your belly and even your face like you ate something sour, squeezing tightly everything. And let yourself go. And maybe one last time you squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And then release. Just giving everything up. Let your breath go. Let the body go. Let the floor support you. even attaching any connection to the thoughts that are going through your mind. You just let that go. You just let them whirl through there, and you're not even paying attention anymore. Gently start to bring your awareness back to your body. Just feeling your skin and feeling your breath, letting your breath deepen and bring movement back into your body. Maybe just your fingers and your toes to start. And as you start to wake up, stay focused on your body and what you're feeling and how it feels to be you, and how it feels as you wake up, what you need, and start to do those things. Maybe curling up and taking a little more inner time, or stretching out and starting to wake up. So just kind of listening to yourself, paying attention to yourself, eventually making your way up to seated, not rushing. And as you find your seat, just sitting up tall, softness in the skin, in the face. And thought that it being Easter, I would just finish the class by reading of something from Stephen Hatch's Wilderness Mysticism book. It says, "Look at the animals roaming the forest. God's spirit dwells within them. Look at the birds flying across the sky. God's spirit dwells within them. Look at the tiny insects crawling in the grass. God's spirit dwells within them. Look at the fish in the river and sea. God's spirit dwells within them. There is no creature on earth in whom God is absent. Travel across the ocean to the most distant land, and you will find God's spirit in the creatures there too. Climb up the highest mountain, and you will find God's spirit among the creatures who live at the summit. When God pronounced that his creation was good, it was not only that his hand had fashioned every creature, it was that his breath had brought every creature to life. Look too at the greatest trees of the forest. Look at the wildflowers and the grass in the fields. Look even at your crops. God's spirit is present within all plants as well. The presence of God's spirit in all living things is what makes them beautiful. And if we look with God's eyes, nothing on earth is ugly." And I thought maybe just like a minute of silence, and we could lift our hearts up to those people that we love and people that need some care, just for a moment. And then redirecting that sense of love back towards yourself, for showing up today, and your body for being there for you. And I'm sending out my heart to you for showing up and spending this day with me. It means a lot to me. So namaste.
Namaste. Thank you. That was awesome.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Courtney. That was wonderful.
Thank you, Courtney.
Thank you. Good to see y'all today.
Yeah.
You.
Look who's here.
Hey.
Oh, Bella.
Bella.
Look good.
Dogs love yoga. See, there's B. She's my sidekick.
Hi, Bella.
That was great, Courtney. Thank you.
Thanks. Good to see you, Anita.
Thanks, everyone.
Good to see you all. Happy Easter.
You
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Bye.
See you next time. Bye.
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 See you soon. Oh. Bye, Jackie.
Bye.